Welcome to Values Over Vanity. This is your girl Francia, aka Franny B, and this episode is going to be called, the me you can't see. It is based on Oprah and Prince Harry's documentary on Apple TV. I was watching it over the weekend and wow, it was such a powerful series because so many people are hiding a part of them, their hurt, their pain, their trauma. And in this series, it was celebrities and unknown people that were dealing with mental health issues. And it just put things in perspective because last week I got a download. I'm on a daily prayer call, and I was telling the ladies on the call actually they wanted to say a prayer because one of my friends work in mental health, and she was telling me about a lot with this pandemic that is going on. A lot of people are seeking help, and I got a download really and truly before that about mental health because I myself had a very stressful last year. It was very stressful. I ended up in a hospital because my mom was an essential worker, and the first case of COVID was actually at her nursing home, and she was exposed to it. So I was really, really stressed. I had to take time off work, end up resigning to open my own business. But that was the catalyst for me to really look at myself and see what I wanted to do, where I wanted to go. But either way, this series, if you guys can watch it on Apple TV, The Me You Can't See, is about celebrities and unknown talking about different types of mental illness that they had. And people look at mental illness as like one or two different symptoms or movement or one or two things that happens to you, but there's so many different forms that it manifests into. And what was great about this series was so many the manifestations of how it comes out. It comes out in OCD, it comes out in you drinking, like being an alcoholic, being a drug addict. It comes out in you having bulimia, having an eating disorder, so many different things, depression, anxiety. And I am seeing that showing up in the world more and more and more. And we have to go back to the root cause. Last week I was doing an Instagram live and I was talking about, going back and healing, going back and looking at your pain and trauma. No more putting your head in the sand. No more running away from your pain and your trauma. Just getting up and going to work and doing the same thing over, masking your pain. But it's not really being masked because it is being manifest into you being angrier, you being more depressed, you being resentful, jealous, angry, hateful. There's so many different areas of mental health issues that I am observing as I am going through this transition into opening my business and being a career counselor. I'm realizing too that speaking to clients, I have to go back and see what they're suppressing, because we have an analytical mind and we also have a creative mind. And a lot of the times, people are only using one part, and to balance it out, you have to be you have to use your analytical side, but you also need an outlet to use your creative side, whether it be arts, whether it be dancing, singing, music, whatever. You cannot be just using your analytical mind and thinking that everything is going to be fine. We all need a creative outlet. We all need to have, and the same. We can't just all be. I know with creativity that that void is so because you're actually seeing your beautiful work. Because you could be a musician, you could be an artist, you could be a songwriter, you can be so many different things, and that outlet leave your have the spark in you fulfilled to a certain extent. But you also have to use your analytical side as well to balance you off. And in working as a career counselor of over 20 years, I've met so many people from all walks of life. And it was only after I started my awakening that I really wanted to hear people's story and their journey. And I started to interview people different, I started to ask them more about themselves, and if I could give them the job of their dreams, what would it be? And every single one, I 99.9%, most of them all said that they want to be of service to others. And that's where I started to say, so maybe everybody have a purpose. I'm hearing a lot about, within the last year or two, I'm hearing about purpose, authenticity. That's what my company is called, Authentically You Canada. Being authentic, being real, being natural. These are terms that I'm guessing that have been around for a very long time, yes. But they're all new to me within the last 3-4 years, where I am fully waking up and coming into my own, and I'm stepping into my purpose, and I'm seeing what I came here to do. And I recognize that because of my lived experience. I said earlier, your lived experience is your testimony. Your lived experience is your testimony. And your lived experience, for me, your lived experience is more important than your work experience. Your work experience, yes, give you that money to put a roof over your head and put food in your fridge. But your lived experience is your trials and your tribulations, shows you your strength and your resilience and your perseverance. And that in itself helps you continue moving forward. A lot of people are stopping their tracks based on not dealing with their trials and tribulation, running away from their trials and tribulation, not having an outlet to confront what is hurting them, suppressing who they are, oppressing who they are. We are here talking about people oppressing us and suppressing us. We do that in ourselves. And for me, the download that I got is we need healers, and we need counselors, and we need coaches to really start stepping up and stepping out and stop and not just just coaching people to go and do whatever they want to do. Because at the end of the day, if they go and do what they want to do, they might end up falling between the cracks because they haven't dealt with the root cause of themselves. So we might end up, for me, I might end up going and opening my business. But if I don't deal with my pain, my past, my past pain and trauma, I might fall into maybe a depression, maybe feel anxious. Not if what I want is not going my way. Maybe I might turn to drinking. I used to smoke weed, but I don't do that anymore. And maybe I might fall back into those things. And it is really and truly about getting to that root. As I said, We all have some form. Just because you haven't been sent to a crazy house, just because you haven't gone to the hospital, just because you may not acknowledge it, we all have some form of mental health issue. Is if we are aware of it. If you are not aware that you have resentment issues, anger issues, hate issues, just being mean, just looking for the worst in people, just not seeing the best in any situation, all of that is a form of mental health issue, and it deals with and you have to look at where it is coming from, where it is stemming from. So a lot of people are looking at all these celebrities and idolizing them and putting them on this pedestal, and then when they end up being drug addicts, being alcoholics, you wonder what's wrong with them, because everybody think that, you know, these people have money and blah, 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 blah. And that is the root. That's another problem too, because we have glamorized and put people on pedestals all of our lives. We have been conditioned to watch TVs and watch movies and listen to singers and things. And our head has been in the sand. For me, my head has been in the sand. I'm going to start talking a bit more personal, because a lot of people do get triggered when you start to say you and we and generalize. And I don't want to generalize to a sense, but I am noticing as a collective, we all have to start working on the root cause of our pain. Our mommy and daddy issues, our disconnect from when we were children, you know. And I realized too, when you are an adult and you are having all these arguments and stuff, you have to go back and look at why you are arguing. Adults have conversations and they resolve issues. Children have tantrums. Children are crying and arguing and want their way, and you know, because in an argument it's like your way or my way or you're right, I'm wrong. Having a conversation, listening to two different perspectives, normally balance it out, and you see what the person is seeing, and I see what the person is seeing, right? So like we come to a resolution. But you having an argument is like you want in your way, and the person want their way, and at the end of all of it, even in the argument, sometimes you don't even resolve it because you huff and puff, and then you stop speaking. So nothing is resolved. So I was called to speak today about the documentary, The Me You Can't See. It's a 5-part series, and Harry and Oprah talked about their own issues. You know, we see him as grown up as royal, and he's a prince, and we just birthright, and we just put this idea of being a prince on this pedestal. And look at these people as human beings. Like, I grew up, when I was a little girl in Barbados, when the Queen came down to Barbados as a schoolgirl, standing up at the side of the road, waving a flag to this woman, putting her on a pedestal. You can't say nothing bad about the Queen, and if you say anything, you're going to go to jail, and all of these different things, all of this, putting people on a pedestal, calling yourself a commoner, calling yourself a subject, and making yourself lesser than. That in itself is a mental health issue. I'm realizing that for myself. Stop putting people on a pedestal. Stop. You are telling yourself that you're not good enough when you do that. I have gained confidence by recognizing that I was putting people on a pedestal and I was not putting myself. If you're going to put people on a pedestal, you put your damn self on that pedestal so that you're seeing eye to eye of that person, looking at that person as a human being, so that you know that person have issues just like you have issues. And this is not about I'm not trying to be telling you what to do, but I want you to have that awareness of how beautiful you are, how talented you are. And if you start using both your analytical and creative mind, you will see how far you will get. You will leave that job that is no longer serving you, that you're bored of, that you've been doing the same thing over and over and over. You will get out and you will start using your hands. You will start using your attention to detail. You will start doing things that you love. When you start putting that yourself on that path, you will recognize that all you have to do is put one step in front of the next. That's what I want to do. That's what I am planning to do. That's what I am doing. That's how I started being inspired by myself. But having my tribe come in to confirm what I know. Having a conversation and really listening to that conversation. To recognize and listen to the person saying, oh my goodness, what you're saying is so true. Or, thank you, this is a confirmation of something that I said to myself. Or a situation that happened to me. You get more present. So I want to thank Harry and Oprah. You keep saying Harry and Meghan for having that. Some people are out here telling him to don't speak his truth. How do you don't talk about the family? You're breaking down the family. This is the problem with our society. For years, that's why I said I am here to our traditions, policies, and procedures throughout our whole lifetime has been to don't speak. Speak when you're spoken to. Suppress yourself. Suppress your outlet. And that's what's happening with a lot of people. Because there's somebody said something to them when they were younger and they don't feel comfortable coming out and speaking, so they hide who they are. If somebody is hurting them mentally, physically, sexually, emotionally, don't say anything to anybody. No one is going to believe you. So you're walking around with that mindset of no one is going to believe you. Don't say anything. If it's something that have to do with family, let it stay in the family. And I was just talking to my mom about that, because some situations that happened in our family when my mom was little, so it goes back to my mom and her upbringing, and there was a lot of hidden family thing. Everybody had them, and it was like you don't talk about anything in your family. It's an embarrassment. So people are out here walking around with a lot of family secrets that have harmed them, hurt them. And in my line of work, it's like I cannot tell people, I cannot be helping people finding their passion and purpose again without really and truly going deeper. I can't put people in you can't find a job and yes, you're happy in that job, but still a part of you, there's a void that is not happy. Then that is going to come out and it's going to affect your dream job. Having that dream house, you're going to be in that house, that beautiful house, but a part of you will still be missing because you have not dealt with an issue. So it's like last week I was like, I got a download to start taking some mental health courses, because I believe that's also going to be a part of my helping people, because I'm going to be able to approach them with more compassion and empathy, not judging them. Like I am already in that mode. I in my awakening last year before, when I was working, 2018, 2019, I started listening to people. So my compassion started coming in more. My empathy started, my non-judgment. As I said before in one of my podcasts, I had this judgment jar, and I wanted to be aware of how I was judging others. And so this journey that I am on really and truly is so fulfilling. Like, it's the spark that I needed to see, to live, to really truly live, and to really wanted to help people. And I feel so inspired by people and their story. And I recognize the only way that I can truly help people is not just by putting them in jobs that they love, but going a little bit deeper and trying to see myself in them. Like, we are all a reflection of each other at some point in our lives, right? And I just want to have that connection with my clients where I really and truly want to help them see themselves and help them because I realize that we all have these beautiful gifts. Like, using my intuition has helped me so much, connecting to something that is higher than me. Like, even when I'm doing my meditation, when I'm doing my journaling, it's like something come over me and I just go deeper. It's just like I can see, I can't explain it. I can see two worlds of when people are doing what they love, and when we really are doing what we love and we start doing things for us, making decisions for us, not worrying about what other people think, including our family, our friends. We are looking for that validation. We're looking for that. And yes, that really do inspire you, because when somebody is saying, you're doing good, that makes you want to continue. So nothing is wrong with somebody validating your work, telling you that you're doing a good job, because that in itself will help you know that you are doing something great. When people tell me, thank you, girl, thank you, this is a confirmation, it just makes me want to keep going, So this series, wow, and that's why I want to take a couple of mental health courses, mental illness courses, CBT courses, other courses, because I want to be able to approach people's I don't even want to say issues, because that in itself is a word that everybody have there. I want to help people with their experiences, their traumatic experiences, not to run from it anymore, but to use it as a testimony to heal. Because I realize we all have to heal, and I'm realizing as I'm praying and healing and praying and healing, I'm realizing I believe that's why we are all here. That's the puzzle that we all is linked together. Our mental health experiences as healers, because people with trauma and pain and everything, it manifests into cancers, it manifests into strokes and different things. If we are not dealing with certain things, we're walking around with a whole bunch of pent-up stress, anger, frustration, and that turns into, and if you don't deal with those things, they turn into different illnesses in our bodies, or in breakdowns, us overeating. And like me, I was always a big girl, and I'm recognizing, okay, maybe I'm using food as a crutch for something that I've been suppressing. Maybe I've been using, because I used to smoke cigarettes, and my best friend died, and I stopped smoking that, and I was like, maybe I'm using certain things as a crutch for running away from my issues, and we all do. Like, we all have to have those conversations as to what are we suppressing? What are we using? Are you in a relationship that is no longer serving you? That in itself is a mental illness. Like, you are doing, insanity is doing that you're in something that is no longer working, and you still staying in it because it's comfortable. All of this, you are in a job that you don't love. That's a mental health issue. I'm going to be real. I have to be real. It's not about just surviving. It's about striving in this world. But we as a society have been told, you have to work hard. You have to, everything has been to be hard, you have to suffer. It's like trials and tribulations and blah, blah, blah. But at the end of the day, you see a lot of people striving and you're like, what are they doing? Maybe they have dealt with their issues. Maybe they have dealt with their trauma and their pain, and now they're in their real purpose of helping people, and really in their purpose of loving what they're doing. And that's how we as a society, for me, that's the download that I'm having, that we have to really and truly look at ourselves and see where we are hurting, where we are suppressing, what we are suppressing of ourselves. But they tell us that you have a student, a child is listening to their parent, wanting to be following the footsteps of their parent, want to be a doctor, want to be a lawyer, want to be a teacher, want to be a this and that. And then when they get in it, it's like, no, I don't really want to do that. So they don't teach the kids the way how they're going to teach the kids. You know a teacher that love what they're doing. They inspire the kids. They don't sabotage the kids. You know a doctor that really want to heal the patients, help the patients. They go above and beyond. They give them the right advice, even if it's not taking that medication, but maybe you know what? Maybe doing something a little bit natural. A doctor that is compassionate, not these doctors that are out here writing medications left, right, and center and have no connection with their parents, their patients. You know when somebody is in their job because they love being in their job, because they're helping people, because they are in their purpose. But other people out here are in these positions for the title, for the salary, for the adulation, the ego. The ego is in front of their purpose. And I'm realizing that that's what's happening in our world. We're putting our ego in front of our purpose. And honestly and truly, our ego, we need our ego, because our ego is going to help us step outside the box. Our ego is going to help us not be fearful, but we have to use our ego for good. Honestly and truly, we have to use our ego for good. Our ego is not made to be overrun by our narcissism. Our ego is not to be used for fear, for pain, for hurt, for being a bully. The days of me sitting down and observing is over. I am talking because I am seeing a lot of bullies in this world that is the sensitive, the people that are already sensitive, the ones that are compassionate. And like right now, it's like my ego is, I'm using my ego for getting in front of the camera and talking. Because my ego is making me step outside the box. I was listening to Anita and John, what's her name? Anita Marjani. I even bought her book, Sensitive is the New Strong. Oh my God. This woman is so powerful. She had a near-death experience. And, when she died, she had cancer and she died. She was in a coma. And when she was on that table in her bed, she was able to see a whole bunch of different things and hear a whole bunch of things. She was not dead, but she was not alive either, because she went over to the other side and she saw her dad and her best friend that were dead, and they were telling her that she had to come back. You have to go and watch her story, listen to her story. Her name is Anita Marjani. Very powerful. And she was saying that as an empath, because I realized that we have all these words, but now I'm realizing really and truly I am an empath. I pick up on energies and even energies that is not mine. So when I'm in a certain mood, I have to ask myself, is this my energy, or is this one that I'm picking up that is going through something? Because I am very sensitive to energy too, and I have to recognize for myself what I'm going through. If it's me or if it's someone, and that's when I cut that cord, and then I feel better. But she said that we've been told about our ego, and the empath cannot just be sensitive. They have to also use that ego to come out and be world leaders, to come out and be leaders of love, of hope. If you are not using your ego for good, then you are a bully, you're a narcissist, you only see yourself as power hungry and greedy. And I'm going to tell you that. A lot of people out here are not practicing what they're preaching. They're using their ego to suppress other people, to get ahead of other people, to push down other people while they're living in their big house happy. While they're in this big, powerful position and they're unhappy. That way, I was talking and I branch off. Everybody is looking at Harry as coming from a castle, so he cannot have any problems. What kind of problems he have? He have privilege. He have white privilege. He have this privilege. He have that privilege. We all have some form of privilege, if you ask me. But either way, I'm going off on this podcast. We all have some form of privilege. Okay? We have free will to live and we have choices to make. Just because Harry is a prince, I ain't even calling him no prince anymore. Prince Harry. His name is Harry. His name is not even Harry, it's Henry. He had issues. He grew up in a very toxic family. We all know the royal family is toxic. They're dirty. Anyways, but I am not going to go off on that. Everybody want to have respect for everybody else. Have respect for yourself, and then you would start opening up your eyes and you will start seeing what you need to see. He himself is come out and talking, no, because he has been, his emotions has been suppressed since his mother's death. 12 years old and was taught to walk behind his mother's death. That somebody that you had that full connection with, all of a sudden died. You didn't get the therapy. He's talking. He didn't get the therapy that he needed. He was taught to move on. Your mother died, move on. So as a little boy, a lot of things happened with him and he dealt with it different. That's why he said he turned to drinking. That's why he turned to drugs. That's why he was rebellious. Everybody is talking about he wore a Nazi suit and blah, blah, blah. That boy was going through a pain and trauma. And he was lashing out. When you see people lashing out, honestly and truly, you have to put them in something. You have to talk to them. You have to have empathy and compassion for them. You have to ask, what's the root cause of this? People are not out here lashing out for a reason. People are not just drinking and smoking and running away from their issues for no reason. They're going through something. They're suppressing it, and it's coming out in negative behaviors. Like, I don't even have to go take these mental health courses because I'm seeing it. I'm understanding it. I'm becoming more aware of it. And the more I'm observing this, I'm realizing that we have a pandemic of mental illness because all of us suffer from something and we are suppressing it. I don't know what made me get up and talk. Well, I kind of know because this has been nagging at me. I've been getting a lot of downloads about it because I really want to. I'm creating a program for my business. Find your purpose through your passion program, and it's like really and truly, I cannot create this program without having that healing aspect to it, that childhood memory, pain, trauma in it, because I really and truly want to get down to the root of the person that my clients, and in getting down to the root of my clients, I'm going to find out what have they suppressed, including their creativity, because we are out here in survival mode most of the time, working in things that being in really, we are in survival mode. So if you're not tapping into certain your creativity side of your creative side of your mind, that's another outlet that is blocked. And the way how we are created is if we are having issues at work, we can't We can't have issues at home. That's a double whammy. But I realize that if we are having issues at home, it's going to manifest into our workplace where we're bringing work our stress, we're bringing work our trauma and our pain, and it's going to affect our work. So it's counterproductive. And for me, it is really and truly about helping people from the root. I'm not a surface level person. I don't believe that most of us are. We like to find the solutions. We want to go to the root of it. But I'm thinking that we've been getting it wrong for a very long time. We want to take things and throw money at things. It's not about throwing money at things. It's throwing money to find solutions. Going to the root, throwing money at the root of something so that you can build a foundation. So that you can honestly build a foundation to get it right. The foolish man built his house up on a sand. So you can't take money and throw it on the sand and think that you're going to have a firm foundation. Honestly and truly, you have to, and that's what I think the government does. I think that's what people does. We all have this short-sighted mentality too. Like, looking at the long term, we have to look at both, actually. It's like looking at the short term, okay, what steps can we make now to look at the long term and say, at the end of all of this is what we're going to achieve. So it is not even, a lot of people have a short-term mentality, and a lot of people do have a long-term, but in actuality, it's both. It's like you have to balance it out. So it's not just taking money, taking funds and throwing it at something. Because a lot of people say, well, celebrities don't take the money and give it to charity and blah, blah, blah and all kind of thing. I'm realizing in itself too that you can take somebody from out of a poor area and put them in a big mansion. Like a lot of these celebrities. But that mansion is just a material thing. That mansion is not going to heal a wound. So you're going to have all the money. You're going to be out here showing off all of this money and blah, 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 while still hurting inside, while still having that root issue. So and so you're going to do where you end up losing that big mansion because of your unhappiness. Honestly and truly, it's like a celebrity having, 100 people online, and 95 of them is telling you how they love you. 95% is telling them, we are your fans, we are going to go to bat for you. And then 5 out of those 5 is haters. And for some reason, the celebrity is only going to hone in on those 5 haters. So you're giving the people that don't like you attention. You're ignoring the people that love you. So what does that say about you? What does that say about you, that you can't, you're trying to convince these 5 people that you're not what they think of you, when it is them that think them that way about themselves? That's why they're coming to you. Unless you resonate with what they're saying, unless you think that what they're saying is true about yourself, you're going to give them your attention. Honestly and truly, we have to start looking at things like that. You have to start giving the people that supports you, that puts money in you, that funds you, the attention. Start thinking about them. But that's another story for another day. Either way, I think I was talking a very long time about this issue. And it all came from the fact that I watched this docu-series on Apple TV. The Me You Cannot See. People show you who they are. Okay, my final wrap up. People show you who you are, who they are. show you what they want you to see a lot of the times. But when you are really tapped into yourself and your energy and have gone through certain things, you don't have to wait for them to, you don't have to just see what they are trying to project out there. You're going to be aware of their pain and their hurt, because there's something about them that resonates with something that you went through yourself, or you'll be able to observe something that doesn't feel right. So for me, as I am waking up, I'm tapping into my gifts, and as I keep saying, I'm seeing the beauty in people, but I'm also seeing the hurt and the pain in people. And it is propelling me to create something that is so powerful and so wonderful. Something that is bigger than myself, I feel. But nothing is bigger than myself. If I say something is bigger than me, then it will be bigger than me, and it will be out of control. So I'm going to control this. I feel that I am onto something powerful, and it is up to me to really put it into play, put it into practice, bring it into my fruition, manifest it. Because eventually I really want to open a human resource center for newcomers to Canada, for people that have been out of jobs, that people like women or men, whoever was on a sabbatical because a family member was sick, or somebody that was just a housewife that haven't worked. Because I work with those people already, and I help people find jobs in that area. Like people that have been out of work for a while, I want to help new students that are now starting out, not fully knowing what their passion or their purpose is, but they know that within themselves they have something that they want to offer, and they want to help people. They want to help humanity. They have a lived experience that they want to help people in, and I want to help so many people eventually. And with God's help and God's plan, I really want to have that human resource center, not just based on policies and procedures to suppress people's and gaslight people, but to actually help them with knowing the rules and the rules of the role for themselves, not even just for the company, for themselves. When they feel like they're being gaslight in the company, they know they know the laws. Like I want to be able to help people in that sense. Like really, I want to, like God, that's what I want to manifest. That's my passion. Like having that human resource center to really and truly help people. I'm going off again, but I did a job fair. I think it was in 2019, maybe, and it was with. I didn't even know what I thought it was. I did the job fair before at the same place, and I really got it was a lot of people showing up. So I said, "Wow, this is going to be another really great job fair." But either way, that job fair had people with disabilities. I think I mentioned this before, and people that were blind, people that were deaf, people that had mental issues, people that. And I had to interview them. You can't discriminate. You can't. The companies that I'm working for, like working in factories, I know that I couldn't fully use because for blind people working in factories, you have to be able to see and stuff. So I asked God. I said, God, why did you bring me to this job fair? And in the midst of me interviewing everyone that I met that day, wow, interview a blind man, interview a deaf woman, interview a young guy that, disability. But when I was interviewing these people, wow, I saw the beauty of them. I saw how the blind man was using his ears to see. He could hear things that I couldn't. So he had his ears were his sight. So he would be in a job that listening would be, he would be brilliant in a job where he just had to listen. Because he told me that, or whatever, like he told me he was a chef too. He ran a restaurant. So it wasn't like he used his hands and his ears. So he was he was a salesperson as well. Like he had different roles so it wasn't just one role that would be ideal for him. It's several different roles. But he would be able to pick up on people's emotions. He will be able to pick up on certain things that is going on with people. And he probably will be able to sell ice to Eskimo, like just by listening. And I was able to talk to a lady that she was deaf, but she had great attention to detail because her eyes now was her ears. So, after I asked God, why, what was the purpose of this? This is how I stopped judging people. This was the real catalyst for me to stop really judging people. And we all always say we don't want to judge, we're not judging and blah, blah, blah. But there's a stigma out here with disabled people. And I'm here to tell you, these people are so gifted and so beautiful. And there's a reason why they're here. They're all part of the puzzle. We're all part of the puzzle. We're all part of a puzzle. And really and truly, it's like we have to really get our shit together in order to make that difference. We have to be the change that we want to see in the world. I really don't want to go on and on about having that awareness of being that change that you want to see in the world. We out here griping about politicians and blah, blah, blah. Everybody is thinking. Look at yourself and see what you are projecting. Look at what self and see what you are putting out in the world. What changes can you make in your life today that can make a difference in others? That can make a difference in the world. We all have a part in this. And we can't just push it off to other people. We have to start taking personal responsibility for our actions and our words. You have to have integrity too. You cannot be out here preaching and not practicing what you preach. You have to start healing from inside. Have that connection with yourself to know when you are hurting people and when you are helping people. Have that awareness of self to know what you are putting out in this universe. And it's not just flowery words. It's your actions as well. You have to put out what you want back. Look at your life and see what issues are arising in your life. Be aware of the issues that are arising in your life and what you are putting out, because it could be your karma. I'm sorry. Anyways, I was talking on this podcast for a very long time, and I am so grateful for this podcast. It really is an outlet for me to really get what is on my mind off of it and have that clarity that I need. And I hope that this episode brings awareness to you, allows you to look at yourself and see where what needs healing, what void you are trying to, what you are trying to avoid, what you're burying your head in the sand about yourself. And this is how we are going to start working together as one. This is how we are, love thy enemy as thyself, love thy neighbor as thyself. We have to start recognizing that all of us are here for a reason. There's a purpose. And when we start fully recognizing our purpose and our gifts and our talents and start tapping into them, start using our creative and analytical mind. It's not just one. There's both parts that need to be used for us to really be fulfilled. We can't have two sides of us and only using one. the other side is going to be null. So you have to fill that up. You have to use both sides, your creative side and your analytical side. One might be more dominant than the other, but both sides need to be used. I can talk about this subject so much, but I realize that I'm kind of pretty good at it. So there's a lot that I've been downloading since talking on this podcast. That's why I realized that I'm going on a little bit longer. But I'm recognizing that in us, there's so much power. There's so much gifts and talents. There's so much creativity. But if we do not tap into who we are by going inside instead of looking for things on the outside of us, we will always suffer. We will always have issues. We will always have problems. Go within for the answers that you seek. I always hear people say that, but it is true. It is true. Stop running from yourself. Stop running from who you are. Accept all of it. The good and the bad. I know it's easy for me to say I had my own abuse. My mother used to beat me. And you know what? Me and her had this disconnection. But it was only after I started really and truly healing myself, I started to see her connection. She had her own issues, So we take our anger and frustrations on other people, including our kids. So there was a lot of forgiveness that I had to go about doing for me. And that's why I'm getting this confidence in myself, because I am on this healing journey, and this healing journey is not easy. There's a lot that you have to confront. There's a lot that you have to look at and see. And accept that a lot of the choices that were made for you when you were a young child were not your own. As an adult now, going back and looking at it, because based on your lived experience, you're able to look at it through a different lens. So, you know what? I have to say, if you need to seek help, if you need to talk to someone, if you need a journal, if you need an outlet to help you, seek it. Ask for it. Set an intention that you need help. And the right people will show up. The right opportunity will show up for you to help you. But if you need help, I am here. You can contact me, Francia Hurley. I am running my own business, my career counseling business. But as I said, it's not just that. It's a career counseling and personal coaching business where we have to get personal in order to actually advance. Evolve into who we really and truly are. So many people are out here dying because honestly and truly, a lot of people are giving up on themselves, and I don't want anyone to give up on themselves anymore. I want people to live. I want people to know that there's a purpose here and there's endless possibilities, and your happiness is a state of mind, is in you. Happiness is love. So if love is not a part of you, love is a part of everyone. You have to tap into that. Happiness is love, and love is happiness. So I feel so blessed to have this podcast, and I feel so blessed to have you guys listening to me and just inspiring me every day to continue going. I had over 1,000 listens on my podcast. Never thought in a million years that, when I created this podcast, I went to my coach, my life coach, Nina Ganguly, last year. And I told her I wanted to create a podcast because I've been called to talk. And I keep saying, somebody that hated their voice have a voice. And I want to thank all of you for listening to my podcast. I can't believe over 1,000 listens. And I feel so blessed to know that, people are coming back every week or whenever I post to listen to my podcast. And I know that I am onto some greatness here. I feel the success around me. I feel the value around me. So if I'm feeling valuable, and I told God, I am valuable. So I am bringing value to people's lives because I recognize that I have this voice and I'm going to speak my truth. What I've observed, what I've lived through, my work experience, my live experience are going to help me help others. And I want to thank you so much for listening to Values Over Vanity. Thank you and goodbye.